Bulls Nation, a back-to-back, a tough 2 games. The travel from the west to the east coast. You could put all those things into one category, but the Chicago Bulls have once again come out and in a very close game, a game that, let's be honest, we were all afraid of losing that lead. The Chicago Bulls managed to find that victory. So without further ado, let's talk about the Chicago Bulls. Let's talk about the Houston Rockets. And let's talk about it in this video. Let's do it. What's up, everybody? It's the Aidan Sports Show. Welcome back to another video, a back-to-back game for the Chicago Bulls and 2 consecutive victories for the Chicago Bulls. Very strong performance in terms of the bench once again, and a beautiful sight to see that we managed to close out a close game. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel. Turn notifications on and let me know in the comments below who is your player of the game and what would you like to see improved over the next few days, because we do have a couple days off until our next game. If you don't know the score for this game, the Chicago Bulls beat the Houston Rockets 125-120. And I know what you guys are thinking, and I know what I was thinking during this game. The Bulls were going to choke it. I truly believe that the Bulls, when they gave up, well, they didn't give it up, but they let a 17-point lead slowly depreciate into a 4-point game and then a 7-point game. But to give credit to the Chicago Bulls, they did manage to hit back when the Houston Rockets made some runs. The Bulls made some big shots. So it can't be all negatives. Did we give up a 17-point lead? No, because we never actually gave up the lead. So it's a big thing for the Chicago Bulls to come out and win this game. It's a back-to-back. At the end of the day, the travel for this game, I have no idea why we had a back-to-back traveling from Dallas to Chicago. I'll never understand why the NBA allowed us to have that back-to-back. But regardless of that, the Bulls did what they were expected to do. This Houston Rockets side were tough, gritty, and they never gave up on the game. And the Chicago Bulls had to be very aware that the Houston Rockets were coming. And they were coming to try and win that game in the fourth quarter. And we had to make those big shots. And I'm very happy with how we managed the game once again in the fourth quarter. Look, it was a close game, but this is the first step in the right direction for me. We made 2 plays in the fourth quarter in terms of making the right play to the right player, and both of them led to open shots. That Larry Marketing 3, Zach LaVine didn't need to take a contested shot, and he passed it to Larry Marketing. Larry Marketing makes an open 3. That's what he's there to do. He takes threes. He's a good 3-point shooter. And it doesn't matter if it's in the clutch or not. I would back an open 3 from Larry Marketing than a double-team contested 3 from Zach LaVine. And we made the shot. And then a pick and roll. And Zach LaVine made the right play there. Beautiful layup. That's his game. He's a slasher mostly. He can get his points in the paint. Glided into the paint there. Christian Wood couldn't stop him. Another beautiful play in the clutch. And that is how we closed out the game. 2 massive shots from Zach LaVine and Larry Marketing that sealed the victory for the Chicago Bulls. It was a strong game. And look, the Rockets just did not leave us alone. They did not leave us alone. And to talk a little bit about the Houston Rockets, what I liked about the Houston Rockets is that with the brand new team basically on paper, they had Victor Oladipo, came in and had an amazing game, nearly a double-double performance. They were hot from the 3-point line, and they played that to their advantage, because at the end of the day, I don't think there was too much difference in the first half and the second half for the Bulls, except for the Rockets were making their shots in the second half, which is what brought them closer to the game. But again, I'm extremely happy with this victory. You can't deny that the Bulls deserve this one once again. And it now leads to 2 in a row. We've won 2 in a row. Let's see if we can keep that streak going in our next game. We have the opportunity. We've competed in almost every single game this season. There were a few blowouts early, but for the most part, the Bulls have competed in a lot of their games. And the big part of competing is now that you need to win. This Rockets side was undermanned. This Rockets side came in with a very short bench. And the Bulls had a lot of their players back. And that's just how it is. We need to beat what's put in front of us, and that is a very strong victory for the Chicago Bulls in a back-to-back circumstance, beating two teams in the West that, granted, might not have the best records, but I still think are extremely tough, and they will be tough going forward. I 100% agree with that. Again, if you look at the box score, the scoring was evenly spread. Of course, Zach LaVine had an amazing night in terms of scoring, but everywhere else, it was so evenly spread. And that is a good part, and that brings a lot to our bench. Our bench, once again, were massive performers for the Chicago Bulls. A lot of people think that our bench is one of the best benches in the league. If they're doing this on a consistent basis, it's very hard to disagree that we do have one of the strongest benches in the league. Which is funny because a lot of this bench is what we had last year and 2 years ago. And that is because Billy Donovan. I want to give a lot of praise to Billy Donovan because this bench last year was nowhere near as strong as it is right now, and we have very similar players, if not the exact same players. The only difference is Garrett Temple in that bench. That's just how it is. The only difference in that bench was Garrett Temple, but this bench is performing 10 times better than what it was under Jim Boylan, who wanted to apparently coach the bench. I remember him saying that in an interview. So look, that gives a lot of praise to Billy Donovan as well. That's something I did want to mention. There are negatives in this as well before I go into individual performance. Once again, the turnovers is a big issue for the Chicago Bulls. I believe we had 20 turnovers or 19 turnovers today. Look, again, the Houston Rockets turned the ball over just as much as us. So we got away with it in this game, but that is something we simply cannot ignore in our next game. We have to be more clean with the ball, clean and tidy. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on, maybe even talk a little bit more about it tomorrow in the Chicago Bulls weekly video. But that is something that must improve with the Chicago Bulls. In the next few games, we're going to be versing teams that like to run. We must keep the ball clean. We must limit our turnovers, and if we do that, we have chances to win all of our games in the next few weeks. Now, again, let's move on into individual performance. Once again, Zach LaVine was the star of the show. 33 points, 7 assists, and 4 rebounds. Zach LaVine scored over 30 points. What I liked about Zach LaVine's game today was that it wasn't forced. None of the shots that he took today were necessarily forced shots. It was very quiet, 33 points. It's 33 points that I didn't expect Zach LaVine to have. The negative about his game is that he had 5 turnovers. Look, his playmaking is taking a new level in terms of averaging 6-7 assists in the last few weeks. But now it's time to limit those turnovers. Unnecessary turnovers as well. A lot of them happened in the first half. We can't let Zach LaVine get 7 and then have 5 turnovers. That is not enough efficiency in the playmaking department for a guard. We must limit the turnovers. And that goes for all of our guards. That goes for Kobe White as well. That goes for everybody. Now, a little bit everywhere else. Very well worked scoring. Wendell Carter, 10 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist. Again, a good night for Wendell Carter. Didn't play too much, only had 21 minutes today. I don't think he was the main guy in the center position for this game. I don't think he was the right fit, and that's why we played Thaddeus Young a little bit more. That's why we played Daniel Gafford a little bit more. And overall, I think that worked out for the Bulls. Billy Donovan, I think, made the right choices there, going a little bit bigger and attacking the paint, because the Houston Rockets are not a big team. They don't play with big men as well as maybe we do, and that's why our big men went to work. Obviously, Christian Wood had 30 points, so take it for what you will. I mean, we did attack the paint. We had more paint shots in the paint than them, so again, we dominated that paint area. Larry Markkinen had a solid 18 points and 7 rebounds, made a huge three-pointer at the end of the game to kind of get the victory. At the end of the day, Houston were getting closer and closer. If Larry misses that shot, we could be talking about a different scenario right now, but he made the shot, and that's a huge shot. And again, we made the right play. Zach LaVine trusted in his teammate in Larry Markkinen. Larry Markkinen said, "Thank you, I will get you there." And it was an open 3 as well. It's a beautiful play. It's a good play. It's the right play. This is what I've been talking about for the longest time. Make the right play, and we will get the right result out of it more times than not. So fair play to Zach LaVine for trusting in his teammate, and fair play for Larry Markkinen for taking that trust and getting a bucket for us. Kobe White had a little bit of an off game once again. 10 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists for Kobe White. I have a feeling with Larry Markkinen coming back, Kobe White's points are going to go down dramatically, but I don't expect to the point where he's averaging 10. In the last 2 games, he's had 0 points and he's had 10 points. So another game where I think he does need to improve a little bit more. His efficiency wasn't there today either. But I do think he had a little bit of a good defensive time today. I think he played really good defense today. Got a few charges in there, some steals. Overall solid night for Kobe White. You can't ask for more on the defensive side. Offensively, I think he needs to do a little bit better than what he is doing right now. Thaddeus Young, a very good night off of the bench, a near double-double. 12 points, 3 assists, and 9 rebounds for Thaddeus Young. A good game from Thaddeus Young. Once again, he was one of the go-to players coming off of that bench. A lot of our bench players perform extremely well. So a good credit to Thaddeus Young. Garrett Temple, who started today, had 13 points, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds. Good shooting from Garrett Temple. Garrett Temple's been hot from the three-point line all season. So it's good to see he's still continuing shooting the ball. He's getting his confidence up. He made 2 free throws at the end of the game that was really, really close. He helped out in the clutch once again as well. You'd love to see it. Then we had Denzel Valentine, near double-double. Once again, similar to Thaddeus Young, 13 points, 3 assists, 8 rebounds. Denzel Valentine, huge 3-pointers in the fourth quarter. Once again, big plays. Big plays in the fourth quarter to keep us at a decent lead for majority of that fourth quarter. It was a beautiful game from Denzel Valentine, and I think he really, really helped in today's game. Then we had Ryan Arcidiacono. I actually thought Ryan Arcidiacono's game last game was better, but the stats might be a little better for him today. He had 9 points, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds. I liked Ryan Arcidiacono's game. He did foul a lot, which was a big part of the game, which he had like 3 fouls in the first half, 4 fouls in the first half, which is, again, he's a bench player, so I don't really mind that too much. But again, you'd like to see him limit those fouls. A lot of them were stupid fouls as well. So yeah, we move on. Daniel Gafford had a great game off of the bench once again. A good game, 2 games in a row now. He's had very solid games off of the bench. 7 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and I believe he had some blocks in there as well. Good defensive display. At the end of the day, the Chicago Bulls was very evenly spread. The bench was huge for us once again. One of the better benches in the league. I'm really starting to believe that's the case. And it's showing time after time that Mavericks game, the bench was important. The bench tonight against the Houston Rockets was important. So I feel a little bit more confident when the bench comes on and it helps extend the lead, if not keep us in the game. So it's a big night for the bench as well. And salute to everybody that came off that bench and made a big contribution. Mokoka played 2 minutes today, and he didn't have a stat, but again, he was there for his defensive presence. Good to see Mokoka out there given 2 minutes. It's better than nothing, I guess. And yeah, that was the Bulls today. A good night for the Chicago Bulls. A game that made me smile. I'm enjoying that one because we've won 2 in a row now. We could have won 3. That OKC Thunder game, something we can't ignore. A lot of games this season could have really affected the record. We could have had a positive record if everything went our way. Again, it's easier to look back than to look forward, but we must continue to look forward because we do have some games that can potentially be winnable for the Chicago Bulls. And those are games we cannot ignore, and those are games we must take extremely seriously. Moving into the must-improve player. Once again, I think I need to target Kobe White. Now, again, Kobe White, it's not necessarily a bad game from Kobe White in my opinion. It's just that I expect so much out of him, knowing what he could do on the court and knowing how lethal he can be, even in his playmaking. There have been games where he's had 13 assists for the Chicago Bulls. So whether it's the playmaking side or the scoring side, I would like to see Kobe White kind of take the next step in one of those areas. And it doesn't look like he took that today. He was struggling with his shot, only had 10 points, and then he was kind of struggling with his playmaking as well. Again, 4 rebounds. Look, he crashes the boards and he's taken a lot of charges. I think he's slowly turning into a decent defender for the Chicago Bulls, which is a very good step in the right direction. But again, I'd like to see a little bit more on the offensive side from Kobe White, just because I know he's capable than a lot more than what he's showing. But again, a victory once again in the last game, and in this game, I think Kobe White would rather have a bad game and win than have a good game and lose. So a big game from Kobe White in that area, and we picked up a victory. The player of the game. I'm going to have to give it to Zach LaVine. I mean, he kept us in that game. There were stints in that game where Victor Oladipo couldn't miss a shot. There were stints in that game where they had amazing three-point shooting from the corners, from the pick and rolls. They were very hot from the three-point line in the second half. So it was very, very important for the Chicago Bulls to try and match that and come a little bit closer to them. And again, it shows. They outscored us in the second half, and we outscored them in the first. So Zach LaVine had to keep us in a lot of that. He made some very good threes today. He was very, very hot. And it worked out for us. And again, the only negative I have about Zach LaVine, he needs to limit those turnovers. Once again, 5 turnovers is just not good enough. It is not good enough. But that is a criticism in a victory, which I'm very, very happy about the victory. And I'm not bothered about the rest right now because the victory was important. That Bulls record is now 6-8. A good victory for the Chicago Bulls. 2 in a row. And let's see if we can make it 3 and get closer to 500 and maybe go above 500 eventually. We still have a lot of tough games to go. We do have the Lakers. Maybe Boston will get some players back by the time that we verse them. But our next game is against the Charlotte Hornets. Now, against Charlotte, we're going to have to limit our turnovers because Charlotte is a team that has good playmakers on there. They like to pick a roll, they like to run, and they're very energetic. So how are we going to limit that? We need to limit our turnovers, and we need to make them play at our pace, and we need to make sure they can't run out in transition. That is the key for the Charlotte Hornets game. That is a winnable game for the Chicago Bulls. Again, we're competing with a lot of good teams. We're competing with teams that are short-staffed as well, but we're competing in good areas. We've competed against some of the best teams in the NBA. So this is another game that we need to compete in, and this is another game that I think the Bulls can get out and win. We won there last year. Of course, everybody remembers that Zach LaVine buzzer beater. Pretty much we were down by 6, and then Zach LaVine and Satoransky just took us to that victory. So we have won it before. Let's see if we could go out there and win again. It is on the road, and we wait and see. Another game that I'm very, very, very hyped about. And let's see, with all of our players back, hopefully Patrick Williams, Otto Porter will be back for that game. Let's see how the Bulls compete. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Thank you guys for all of your support. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Chicago Bulls Weekly coming out tomorrow. Take care and peace.